This is the Montessori secret to teaching early reading and writing, all right? So if you want to know how to get your children excited about learning to read and to write, both of those things, it starts with a very hands-on approach, and that approach is primarily through the movable alphabet. A lot of classrooms out there, traditional teaching classrooms, like they don't use a movable alphabet. You'll see a lot of workbooks out there. When you type in, if you were to Google like how to teach my child how to read, you would see links to a whole lot of like phonics workbooks and that sort of thing. In Montessori, we don't do that. In a traditional approach, they often don't use a movable alphabet either. And this is really a shame because the movable alphabet is one of the most effective ways to teach writing and reading to your child.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's you don't have to actually have anything that you purchase. You can use a, I even have like a little paper copy we publish. Here's an example of both print and cursive. In our community, you can find that.
So you can go and buy one. You could make one. You could print one out. You might have lots and lots of them around, as we're going to talk about in a minute. But the goal is like having that movable alphabet as a cornerstone of your teaching and learning in your house. Is going to make all the difference, and it's central to the Montessori approach.
That's right.
Not just to reading and writing, as we're going to talk about in a minute, but to the entire spectrum of academics. It is just an amazing tool, and it's very simple.
Yep.
But somehow, like you said, it's just not widely adopted, and I'm not sure why. We're not going to try and figure that one out, but
the experts agree.
Yeah.
If you want your child to read and have a very strong foundation in decoding skills, then you have to have some kind of manipulable alphabet. You know, you have to be able to have a hands-on approach to manipulating the letters of words, which really correspond to the sounds that we hear.
Yeah, and so a couple episodes back in this series, we talked about the senses and how the senses are central to the Montessori approach to learning how to read and write. And the movable alphabet fits perfectly into that, right? Because it does not require a child to have excellent pencil grip or fine motor skill in order to begin correlating sound to shape of letter and then those into words. So it actually drops the barrier. And that's why we say in Montessori, writing comes before reading.
Yeah.
Because you're going to work as you're working through that process. And you couldn't do that if you didn't use a movable alphabet, which again goes back to the point. It's such an amazing tool. It's perhaps, I mean, maybe one of the very best tools you can use for teaching your child how to read and write.
Yeah, I put it above the sandpaper letters.
Yeah.
I'd say sandpaper letters are optional. They're great, but the movable alphabet is technically better.
All right, so we've come up with some ideas of what you might want to think about or how you might want to use that movable alphabet beyond just the basics of what it is. We did a video a little while ago on what is the movable alphabet that kind of covers the basics of it. Go back and watch that, or if I can remember, I'll put a link somewhere down here on this video. But today we wanted to talk about 4 concepts, tips, tricks, whatever that really exemplify why that movable alphabet is so good. All right, let's see. We have a comment real quick before we jump into our first one. It says, Vidya says, we bought magnetic movable alphabet along with some DIY made of printables for traveling. The magnetic ones were much cheaper than the wooden ones. We also have one set of wooden ones for the feel.
Beautiful.
Love it. Yeah, that's right. More the merrier when it comes to movable alphabet.
Yeah, I love those magnetic movable alphabet letters. I really do. We had a good set in our house. We started with just a regular set of refrigerator magnets. I made sure to buy the lowercase versions of them, and we used that like a movable alphabet at home. I also had a set of magnetic foam, set of movable alphabet letters. Now the colors, I think, were reversed from the colors we use in Montessori for the vowels and consonants. It does not matter what the colors are, as long as you're distinguishing between consonants and vowels. And honestly, when we're just talking about the concept of Moveable Alphabet, those refrigerator magnets that I had first bought, they were not color coded at all. They were like multicolor. Yeah, they were just like
color.
A is purple and B is yellow.
They were colorful.
And you know what? Like, it still was effective. It still was really, really effective. So there's no bar here financially for families. Like, you can make one out of paper. You can download one made out of paper. You can use a wooden one that you buy. It can be large. It could be small. I love it so much. I have multiple versions.
Scrabble set and take the tiles out of it.
Now those are going to be capital letters.
They will be, which is not ideal, but in a pinch, you can use it.
Or those bananagrams.
Yeah, bananagrams, right?
Yes.
So the Moveable Alphabet is awesome. But the first tip we want to tell you is, as much as we love that Moveable Alphabet, the one guidance we would really encourage is wait until your child knows a few sounds before bringing that Moveable Alphabet out. Now, why is that exactly?
Well, I actually think that parents tend to think, I mean, I know you're kind of emphasizing the wait until your child, yes, you need to wait until your child has learned a few sounds first. But what I've noticed, actually, the bigger problem is that parents feel like they can't introduce the Moveable Alphabet until their child has mastered all of the sounds.
Great. So that is...
so it's both.
Like, that is the flip side of the coin. Yeah. So make sure they know some letter sounds, because you're trying to create a concrete experience.
Yes.
From the sound to the shape, which is the letter. And they have to know that they'll start with the sound, because that's the sensorial experience. Again, go back and watch our video, and now you're going to try and match that to something visual. They need to know a few of those sounds, but they don't need to know every sound before they start. So that is the other side of this coin.
Yeah.
Wait until they know a few sounds. Don't wait until they know every sound.
Yeah, that's my personal preference. You know, not every Montessorian agrees with me. There are Montessorians out there who are fully certified, trained, who really feel like a child needs to know every single sound in the whole alphabet before starting the Moveable Alphabet. But that's not what we do at Child of the Redwoods. In my experience, working with children, teaching them to read, what I've found is that sometimes you get children who can just memorize the entire, like they work through the whole sandpaper letter set in just like a few days, and they've like got all of the sounds, and then they're ready for that Moveable Alphabet. Yeah. But on the flip side, sometimes you have a child who's just really struggling to get that quick recall with the sounds, and so they may get to the point where they've got like 7 to 9 sounds down, and they just plateau. Yeah. And then you know, a parent is like, they're just like, they're forgetting the sounds that I've already introduced, and giving them more sounds seems to just overwhelm them, or they're starting to resist it because they don't feel good at it. And then I think that's at the point where a lot of parents feel like, we're stuck. We can't move on in the Montessori sequence to introduce that Moveable Alphabet because we haven't mastered the sandpaper letters. And so I really, if your child is in that situation, we really want to encourage you that, in my experience, what I've noticed is if your child knows a few sounds, they can start to play and manipulate those sounds in the order of the sounds, even if they're not making any words yet. Maybe they know the sound of like ah, d, f, and or aw, right? Aw. And so you can mix those letters up, and then they can read those sounds. they can manipulate those sounds. I know it comes across so funny because they are letters, right?
Yeah, they are
We're
letters,
really talking about the sounds. And so they might read something totally nonsensical, like ah, p, h, ah. You know, like it's not a word, but then we can mix up those letters and they can read it in a different order. P, ah, h, ah, you know, whatever whatever it is. Like, it's not a word, but you can like mix up the sounds and read it in a different order, or just play with them. And so sometimes when children just have learned a few sounds and they're struggling to acquire more sounds and they're finding it tedious, sometimes that Moveable Alphabet just becomes very motivating, and they learn the rest of the sounds much faster much faster, even without the sandpaper letters, or without that classic 3-period lesson. And so I tell all parents, like, once your child knows like 7 sounds or so, 9 sounds, like, go ahead and introduce that movable alphabet. Don't wait to introduce it, because it's so great. And your child, it may just be the motivation that they need, and it may fill them with more excitement to continue on in this process of learning to read.
Yeah, so our general approach at Child of Redwoods and as educators is, while there's definitely a sequence to learning concepts, for example, in reading, in the Montessori approach to reading, you would, for the very littlest guys, what we would consider level 1, you would be doing a lot of reading of books aloud, and you would start to introduce object-to-object matching, that kind of thing, object to shape matching, things to work on the visual acuity. And then as they move into level 2, again, lots more reading, but that's when you're going to start to bring out the sandpaper letters, and then they're eventually going to bring out the movable alphabet, and then you're going to bring out the CVC words. But in our approach, that is more like a flowing river rather than a series of doors. The river, it doesn't move in a uniform way. So yes, ideally you will introduce the sandpaper letters first, because they give a very different kind of tactile experience that familiarizes the child with the shape of the letter. Much less abstract than what you'll get on the tile, right? So the shape of a lowercase a on the sandpaper letter is easier tactilely to understand than on the tile, which is going to be just flat, traditionally. So there's a progression there that makes sense. You don't have to master everything related to the sandpaper letters, though, before you move to the next. It's not a door that you have to wait and then it buzzes you in after you've proven you've mastered something. You want to follow the rhythm of your child and give them just enough more to be excited. Kind of like how that river, as it's flowing, some parts go faster, some parts go slower, but it all gets to the lake or the ocean or whatever is flowing in the end. And that's kind of more of our approach. There's a progression, there's an order, there's a logic to it, but we want to be more free or open with the approach. So bringing out those letters and then introducing, because the next thing you're going to do after you've introduced that movable alphabet is you're going to start to introduce short vowel sound, CVC words, like cat, hat, bog, whatever, right? CVC words with short vowels.
Or just short phonetic words, because it might vary per language of the child.
So that would be in English, right? But so that is your next step. You don't, again, as Aubrey is saying, you don't have to wait to know all the letters before you do that.
That's right.
You can introduce the sandpaper letters once they start to kind of get the idea that this thing that I feel is the same as this thing that I can only see. And they've also started to put that thing that they see to the sound that you've been teaching them. You can start to bring in those other components. Start to give them a limited set of tiles to work with, and not worry about.
Or
that's like, don't worry about.
When you say tiles, do you mean like
movable alphabet tiles?
So they might be tiles, or they might just be the actual letter. Right. So, but whatever it is,
alphabet. Yeah. So don't. I guess the caveat, because I think I'm emphasizing this because I think there's a lot of educational materials that are set up to be very didactic or something like that. Like you have to master one thing before you move to the next.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, we could do that. We could say you have to, learn these words and then do this and then learn these letters and then do this. But not every child needs it, and
it doesn't. Yeah. So a lot of programs will do that. We're gonna emphasize not doing that. We're gonna say, give the child the world and know that they will take what they can from it and be inspired.
Yeah.
And not over worry too much about mastering something to the nth degree before moving to the next.
Okay, beautiful. So the takeaways for you from this little section is Don't feel like you have to rush into the movable alphabet, but once your child knows some sounds and can match the sound to some of the letters, then go ahead and start playing with a movable alphabet of one kind or another.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And in our curriculum, you will find in our latest theme of Tide, in fact, we provide a movable alphabet for you both in print and in cursive for you to print out. So don't feel like you have to wait. It's already in there. The easiest movable alphabet that you could make actually are just like take a piece of paper, write the whole alphabet on it, and then just cut out the individual letters, and you've got one. So don't make too big of a deal out of it. You've got it. And in our curriculum, we will guide you through the sequence of learning how to read from beginning to end. I know we're saying like it is like a moving river, but you definitely will know what to do.
Well, it is like a moving river, but also like a moving river, there's an upstream and a downstream. So you do want to follow a general progression because it will work better. But you don't want to be so obedient or so stuck in a system that is not allowing you to follow your child, that you can't be adaptive or creative. So the goal is to understand the general progression and then follow your child through it. And that actually leads us to the next tip, which is, as Vidya, one of our viewers, has already pointed out, have lots and lots of movable alphabets, right? So maybe you got one in the car, you've got one on your refrigerator, you've got one in the basket, you've got all over the place, and you're not worried about like keeping it on the shelf precious all the time. You want to make that movable alphabet accessible because you want it to infuse into the child's everyday life. You were laughing.
I'm laughing because you said because I'm just imagining a whole house full of movable alphabets.
Everywhere.
It's everywhere. But ideally, I would just say like, it's okay to have one. You don't have to have one in the bathroom or whatever.
You could though. You could have little foam tiles that you stick. They sell those, right? The alphabet.
Yeah.
And you get them wet and they stick to the tiles. Those are fun.
Actually, you're right. We did have a movable alphabet in the bathroom.
See?
Yeah, we did. You're right.
Every room.
We had a little set of foam letters that every time our kids took a bath, we dumped some letters in there with them, and they ended up sticking them to the tiles.
That's right.
And playing with them. No, you're totally right. I'd forgotten about that. So yes, you can have a house full of movable alphabets. More purposefully, you should have a house that offers a rich environment full of letters.
That's a nicer but more boring way of saying
it. Is.
Everybody gets a movable alphabet everywhere.
But really, you want to make sure that your movable alphabet, wherever it is, or however many you have in your house, is accessible to you and your child. When it is available to you and your child, it is going to be easier for you to engage with it. And so the reason that refrigerator magnet set works so well for me is because we're in the kitchen a lot and like cooking. I mean, let's be real, like parents are in the kitchen a lot, making food for their kids. As soon as they eat breakfast, it seems like they're ready for a snack. And so since we were already in the kitchen, and I love to cook anyway, the movable alphabet was just like right there. It was on the fridge. I had no excuse not to engage with it. And I would give myself I would kind of remind myself like every day, make a new word on the fridge. And it didn't matter if it was something that it wasn't a particular lesson I was teaching my child. It was just that it was there, and so there was no excuse not to use it. So if you are using a traditional movable alphabet set that you bought in a beautiful box and was all lovely and expensive,
like the beautiful wooden set that Vidya was talking about, perhaps that one is in a special place on a special shelf.
Maybe that's on your shelf. I think a lot of parents will, put the movable alphabet away and then get it out again for a special occasion or a special lesson. It's just like the golden beads. Once you've got your movable alphabet set out in full, then it should be prominent on your shelf.
Yes.
Like, put it in the middle of a shelf where you see it every single day, and you have no excuse not to look at it and think, I could be building words right now with it.
Yeah, so, and that's where, if you're cost conscious, or like us, or most, like a lot of us, have a paper set, put it in a little basket, put it on your dining table, you're eating breakfast, get it out and play with it, model playing with it, make it accessible. So you might have that beautiful set that you're using, that you're pulling out for those key lessons, or you're making it accessible for school time, or however you're structuring your day. And we would say definitely however you structure, just make sure you have a structure. But on those other times when maybe you don't want little hands to be touching your movable alphabet, or it's just not the place for it, maybe it's like you're on an airplane, like Vidya just said here, and you've got it in a Ziploc bag, or you've got it in a little basket, and maybe it's a paper copy, or maybe it's a plastic copy, or it's just the letters themselves. And you take them out and you start spelling words and playing with them with your child there at the dining table. You're infusing literacy into your everyday environment. And I think that is, for me, that's the goal. Like this movable, the movable alphabet it's just a way to write. And we wouldn't say to you, an adult, you can only write when you go sit at your table. Like, we would say you're walking around, you need to jot down a note, something comes up. We don't, you're texting somebody, right? We write all the time as people. And it's not with a special tool in a special place. We want that sense of literacy and language, writing, reading, to be it's our spine. It is the thing that connects everything else. Everything comes from literacy. And when we infuse the movable alphabet into our everyday life, we're really kind of helping to demonstrate that.
Okay, so the more you're talking, the more movable alphabets I'm remembering that we had in our house. Like, we did have one in the bathroom, those little foam letters, and we had the refrigerator magnet set. We had a formal set that we kept in the living room. Is this feeling like it's overboard, friends? And then we also did have a magnetic set that we used in the car with the kids.
Yeah.
And we actually kept that in a little case. Is this what you were remembering? And kept it in a little case on a like a metal. I don't know. It was like in a little metal tin.
It was a metal tin, and then the letters would stick to the lid. So
the letters would stick to the lid. It was kind of like it was a little bit like those poetry magnet type of things, but except that it was like magnetic letters. And our kids would play with it in the car. We had a box that every single week we filled with new library books, because I really encouraged the kids to read in the car while we were driving. And so they had a box, and inside that was like a little movable alphabet set as well. So, I guess this is to say, like, you can never have too many movable alphabet sets. And also, in addition to that, you'd think we would have so many movable alphabets that I wouldn't find the need to actually also make my own. But I was always like sitting there with a little set of index cards, and then when I wanted to model a word or whatever, I would just like write the letters that I needed, cut them up on the fly, and then like that's the movable alphabet, the letters that just make that one word. So yes. Prepare your environment correctly. You'll love it forever, and then someday you'll be telling these funny stories too. I want to emphasize as our third point.
Number 3.
It's number 3. That it's actually a really great way. It's great to have your movable alphabet sets available, to have it there when your child is ready for it. But also, like, there's so many great lessons you could be teaching your kids that you might not have thought otherwise that a movable alphabet could sneakily make its way into the lesson. And so this is something we do at Child of the Redwoods on the regular, is as we're writing these lessons for our thematic packs, our thematic units, for our interdisciplinary learning approach to teaching with Montessori, if there is a way we can weave in a movable alphabet into the lesson, we often will do that.
Right.
And you could do this on your own as well with just about any of these lessons. I was thinking this didn't actually make it into Tide for this month, but the word tide itself, can you think of like how it would lend itself to a movable alphabet lesson so easily?
Yeah.
Just by teaching that silent E.
Yes.
Right? And so you turn tid into tide. Here, it's all in caps, but you can use your movable alphabet to teach the word tide,
the bossy
and that itself, it's a silent E.
The silent E, right, not the bossy E.
And not a bossy R.
Bossy R, silent E.
It's a silent E. Yeah, but it would make great inspiration for that silent E lesson. And then you might find yourself sitting on the rug, starting with the word tide, turning it from tid into tide, and then hid into hide, and then
made up words like did into died,
mid into mud,
did into bide.
That's right. So you can have a whole lot of fun just by playing with wordplay, by integrating that movable alphabet into a lesson. There are lots of other words that lend themselves. Here we have the lessons called Tide Pool in a Tub. You could teach the letters OO, make the sound OO. And you could think of other words that use those two O's together to make OO words. If your child is ready for that. What are you looking for? You're looking for something specifically.
I was looking for our critters cards.
Our critters cards, yes.
So this is an obvious one, but so these are classification cards. They teach about creatures of the tide pool, and you learn by the 5 different classes of animals. So and this is another reason why having a printable curriculum is really great. You could use your movable alphabet to spell these letters, spell these critters' names. And the way I would do it, I don't know what you're thinking, but I know what I would do. I would take the picture and I would just cut off the bottom part.
Okay.
And then I would say the word muscle.
Why would you cut off the bottom part?
Because I want them to hear the sound.
Oh,
and then
so
I want
that they're
them
not looking at the word.
Yes, that's right. And not thinking about not trying to match the spelling of the letter. Like, so the M, I'm going to find the M. That's a different kind of activity. In my mind, what I was thinking is it would be fun for them to work on the hearing. So they're hearing the word muscle, and then they're looking for the sounds from the movable alphabet to recreate it. And some of these words would be really hard and fun, like sea anemone. Sea anemone. And don't be shy about giving those harder words. So that's another example of a way that you might use the movable alphabet, in this case to teach, this would be life science. Yeah,
I love that. Here, take this. I want to do a little demonstration while we're on this topic. I'm just going to cut up this movable alphabet while we're right here and talk about a couple ways that you can engage with that. Here, open that lesson back up. I loved it. Actually, I have a set of those cards right here too.
Okay. Oh yeah,
there
nice.
You go.
These yesterday.
Yeah, if you want to show our friends how they're the control of error works.
So the control of error on the back. There are labels that go with each of them, and the way that the work actually is that there are 5 types of animals or creatures from the tide pool, and then you will put the labels at the top, like fish or what else? Mollusk, crustacean, and then you'll put the creatures that are fit to that. Cnidarians, right? You'll put the creatures that fit to that.
It sounds like something that belongs in Game of Thrones, doesn't it?
What is the other one?
Cnidarian?
I keep thinking of the word echidna, but that's wrong.
What?
What's the one that starts with an E?
Echinoderm. Echinoderms, yes. That's what the sea stars are.
Yeah, so also a sea cucumber. So
yes.
And
the sea urchin.
Yeah,
right?
and that's where the control of error on the back comes in handy, because even I couldn't remember, but I will learn it if I play the game. So anyway, yeah, so here's sea cucumber, sea star, limpet, octopus, sea anemone. Okay, now what are you working on over here?
Okay, so I'm cutting out our movable alphabet. I'm only cutting out the print version. And I'm just gonna tell our members just a couple ways that they could use the movable alphabet with that particular set of cards. So why don't you pick out, how many cards do we have there? Why don't you pick out 5 of them?
25 maybe or something, or 20.
What? Are there 25 of them? Oh my gosh.
20, maybe 20.
20?
I don't remember.
That's a lot.
All right, I'm going to pick out a couple here. Okay.
Okay, now tell me the first letter. Yeah, let's actually just pretend like we have cut off the bottoms.
Yeah.
You want to go ahead and actually just do that? Just cut off the bottoms of those.
Sacrificing
so that we
our
can
cards.
sacrifice it. I know. I have another set over there I've already cut out.
Did we mention how good it is to have a printable curriculum?
I know. What I love that you can have multiple uses for these.
Yeah, this also now makes it a matching game,
Okay.
which is fun. You've basically made a part of a 3-part card.
Yes. And I would love to hear what our friends are doing out there as well with their movable alphabets with the curriculum that we have here. Okay, so here's my movable alphabet set. You have no excuse not to have one, friends. Look how, this does not take much space. It's just an alphabet. Ideally, you would have multiple letters of each one. I would say a good set would be like 5 of each letter would get you a lot of words. Although I really like to have a whole lot of the vowels.
Yeah.
So I would probably, if I were going to make my ideal movable alphabet set, I would have at least 5 of each consonant and then like 10 of each vowel.
Yeah. So if you were in our community and you've downloaded Tide and you're wanting this copy, I would just take the pages that are for the movable alphabet and just print 5 copies, and you would have quite a few. Okay.
So here's a really easy language set that you could do at home with these cards. So tell me, why don't you show each card, and we'll just make a first set without the word.
Okay. Barnacle.
So I'm going to give you the letter B.
Okay.
Okay. And then I see you've got a nudibranch over there. Nudibranch. And here's the letter N.
Okay.
And then what else do you have? A sea urchin?
Sea urchin.
And are we going to go with a S for sea urchin, or are we going to go with for urchin?
Let's go with
With for urchin.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll just call it an urchin. It could be called an urchin, right?
Urchin.
Okay. And how about the sea star? We'll put the
There's
S
a
with that one.
sea star.
And then what's the last one that you've picked out at random?
Cucumber.
A
Sea cucumber.
So I'm looking for my K. And, your child might want to spell it with a K, and that's totally fine.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
right.
so here's like a very easy lesson, a very early, easy reading lesson that you can do with your kid just at home if they're if they're like in the early stages of learning their letter sounds. Is you would only provide to them these letters that go with these particular pictures. Okay, and so the work would look like this. You'll pile them up. You'll put these in a nice little basket or on a little tray with the letters that they need to match. And we're matching sound to picture, essentially. And so,
And just the initial sound.
yeah, so before you give this work to your child, this is the initial sound work, you would show them the picture and then name it with them. You would say, this is a barnacle.
Barnacle.
This is a sea star. Or just a star. This is a I guess we could call it a cucumber. Yeah, you might have like picked through those to choose.
I picked the hardest ones I could find.
Of course. Here's an urchin, right?
Urchin.
urchin. That one's kind of hard because urchin starts with instead of
But that's why I picked it.
Well,
Because
then
your
we
little guys are going to spell it with an R.
Yeah, so then we would have to provide the R.
That's okay.
So I would probably be a little pickier when I chose these. I know I put a lot of onus on you. I'm sorry.
No, I disagree. I think the inventive spelling, I guess it depends on where they are in
Yeah, but if you're going to provide it to them, you want to give them the
That's
exact letters that you need for them to spell.
Fair enough.
To match the initial sound. So anyway.
Well, I guess I could have just picked this guy.
It would have been easier if you just picked that guy.
Muscle.
It would have been so much easier.
These are boring. All right, what's that last one there?
Pick the hardest ones I could find. Okay, so that is one lesson, okay, is matching the initial sound. Let me give you another example. Why don't you pick that crab again? Why don't you pick that crab? Yeah, please cut the word off of crab. And here is what we're going to do. Crab is actually much easier, much better for this particular demonstration because we're just going to give the letters that your child would need in order to spell the word crab. And so this is how this activity would look. You're going to have a picture of a crab. Can you find another one in there that's kind of easy? Are there any others in there that are kind of easy? I know crab is pretty easy.
Yeah.
No, not really in this one.
Yeah, no, I think.
Octopus is pretty close.
I was thinking of mussel.
Actually, no, octopus.
You want octopus?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, octopus would work. All right, it's not
Also limpet.
totally phonetic. Limpet. Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah, that one is pretty phonetic. Limpet. Yep, beautiful. Let me see if I have enough letters for it. I have a I have a O, I have an I somewhere. I have an I. Haven't used it yet, so I know it's in here.
There it is.
Where? Oh, here it is. Okay. All right. Lim, and then I need a P.
No,
And then an E, and then a T. Okay. All right, so we've got two sets. I'm going to pull them down here so you guys can kind of see what we've got going on. I've got the letters that make the word crab, and I've got the letters that will spell the word limpet here as well. And I'm going to mix them up. And I'm just going to take these two letters and only these movable alphabet letters. And we've been a little more careful this time because we're only choosing pictures that have words that are perfectly phonetic.
Crab and
Ab and limpet. Limpet.
Pet.
You just say limpet, don't you? Limpet.
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 Whatever.
Right. And so this is an example of the kind of work that I would have had in a Montessori classroom that I would have been intentionally making in a Montessori classroom to help children who need a little bit of an assistance. Like that whole set of movable alphabet letters is like, it's a bit much.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot. Even I feel a little overwhelmed when I look at that big set of movable alphabet letters and I'm trying to pick out the letters. Even though it's good for your child's brain to use the whole set when they're ready for it. I wouldn't do that if I were just introducing the concept of a movable alphabet. This is the step that I would take first, is I give the letters, only the letters that they need.
This goes back to that first step around
things.
sound, to introduction of sound. Like in terms of thinking through which letters you might introduce and being a little more judicious.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing I like about this activity is that some words, like the word crab, is it a C or a K? And by having this narrowed down set of letters, you don't really have to try and discern between the C and the K at this point. And so they can really focus more on just
the word building,
yeah. Right?
Hearing
Even
the
if you have
sounds.
two different tiles, like pictures, so you have a crab and a limpet, there's no other C, there's no other K sound other than in crab. So you're only going to have one letter that makes that sound, and it's going to be the C in this case.
It's a lot less confusing to use the movable alphabet this way if your child is in this stage. Does this make sense, friends? Tell us in the comments if you have done lessons like these, or if you're inspired to go do this.
Now, this is what's interesting. The lesson we actually created for Tide was about articles. So it's actually for introducing parts of speech, which is something you'll do a little bit later. But this ties back to what we were saying with this third tip. It's not just about language, right? So we, or in this case, it's not just about reading, right?
Yeah.
So here we're teaching the names of the animals, and we're using the movable alphabet to reinforce that. You would also do that if you were trying to introduce this concept of articles. The different type of article goes with the sound of the noun, right? So a boat, but an apple, right? So an, the indefinite article, is going to go with a vowel and a consonant sound if it's the A, and then the doesn't have any rules. It's the apple and the boat. And so in this activity, what you're going to be doing is teaching them that relationship, but you're going to use your movable alphabet to reintroduce or reinforce those those initial sounds. And so that kind of then becomes an extension even beyond. So let's say they've spelled limpet. Now you're going to have them select the correct article for that.
Is it a limpet or an limpet?
Yeah.
Well, we can hear the difference, and your child will probably be able to hear the difference as well, but they might actually not know really which one it goes with, other than like if your child has an instinct for it.
That's right.
But the cool thing about the lesson is that you're actually making it really obvious. You're like, hey, it's an, if it's it starts with a vowel. Does it start with a vowel? How would we know? We're going to separate our movable alphabet into two sets. We've got consonants over here, vowels over here. Which one does this word fit into? Is it a vowel, or is it start with a consonant? And so it just really becomes like a game that you play with your kids.
It's very like it is essentially a game.
Yeah.
Right. You can think of a million word games or other kinds of puzzle games that have the same premise, and that's why it's so much fun. And when you lean into the joy of teaching and learning, it's like playing games all the time. So, and again, in our version, we have the full words already because the emphasis is on the article noun matching. But this is how you might extend that.
Right.
So now you've brought in grammar. You're teaching reading and the vowel sounds and the consonant sounds. You're teaching the names of animals. And then the final part, if you were going to do the lesson as we originally envisioned it, are this kind of like Mad Lib-esque. And so you're going to write in the articles. This is a very classic kind of, it's not really a worksheet, but it's sort of like that. And we've talked in the past about worksheets have a place.
They do, but you can do this one orally as well.
You can certainly do it orally. But basically, your entire education can't be this, but this could be a great way in this to have them practice. And not only are they practicing seeing the sounds in context of a paragraph. It's a blank crab walked across blank rock. He was looking for blank hiding place, right? So you're going to write your a, an, or the. And so you're hearing the sounds, you're hearing them in the context, you're doing reading, and you're writing. You're practicing your writing. And again, you could do this orally if you wanted, or you could have them sit down and write it. And so now you have this like the full progression of lessons and the movable alphabet plays a really important role in that sequence.
Yeah. So you want to have a movable alphabet. It's beautiful as an addition to anyone's home with a small child. Don't be afraid of it. Model with it regularly. Play games with it. Don't hesitate to go out of the box and do exactly what David did with like pulling out. Which one did you pull out that was like, oh, let's not start with that one? Was it like the sea urchin or something?
Urchin, yes.
Like, ooh, that one's kind of a tough one for the beginning. But honestly, if I were to pull these out, if I had a child who was a little more advanced in this and I was giving them more letters, like let them spell sea urchin with an R. Like, let them do that.
Yes, exactly.
Let them spell out sea cucumber and then reach for the letter C, you know, twice
or
even.
Q,
or Q, or
if they hear the
whatever it
plus
is
sound.
that they hear, right? And however they want to describe something as well to spell out. Maybe they don't call this a sea star. Maybe they call it a starfish. It's the old word for sea star.
Yep.
It's not actually a fish. But maybe they want to call it red sea star, you know, and spell the letter red to go with it. Like, have fun and don't be afraid to, you know, don't feel like these cards that come in your constellation thematic packets are precious. Print out multiples if you want, cut them up, make them,
use them in ways that we didn't describe.
Yeah.
Come into the community and brainstorm with other folks on ways that you're using them. I love seeing that when people break our materials. It's amazing. And share, have fun.
Yep. Anyway, friends, just encouraging you to love on that movable alphabet because it really helps your child to prepare their mind for actual reading. Because what we're doing with this is writing.
Writing before reading, as
Writing
they say.
comes before reading.
Yeah. So remember, if you also are interested in knowing more about your child's reading readiness, we have a quiz that we put together. It's fun. It takes about 3 minutes. Go to childoftheredwoods.com/reading. You'll take the quiz. You'll get a level score on the level 1 to 6. If you give us your email address, we'll also send you a report that includes real practical tips and lessons and things about a child at the level 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, or 6. And you're welcome to take as many times as you want to assess multiple children. And it's really meant to give you like a guide. Like this is a place that you might start and think about. And if it really speaks to you and you're like, what else is there for a level 2 child to do in reading, then come on over. We've got a whole bunch of fun lessons in all 10 subject areas that are going to be great. All right. Hey, guys.
Mr. Bunny is here.
Yeah, that's me.
Hi.
Yeah, I was going to do something dramatic to come out, but I was a little sleepy. Yeah.
Understandable.
Yeah. But I had to come up anyway because I heard you talking about that movable alphabet.
Oh, yes. You and all the tired parents out there.
Oh, yes, that's right. Well, I'm not a parent. I'm a Mr. Bunny. I'm not a daddy bunny yet, but, you know.
Yes.
Someday, perhaps. Yes, but I was thinking about the movable alphabet, and it's really fun. But have you heard of the movable alphabet?
The movable alphabet.
Yeah, that's right. That's the one that cows use when they're learning their letters, you know, their ABCs.
ABCs.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't you mean ABCs?
No.
No?
You heard what I said.
The ABCs.
Yeah.
Well, how is that different?
Well, you know, it's actually very similar to the human version, but, you know, as you would imagine, the tiles are enormous. I mean, have you seen a cow's hoof? It's huge.
Okay, it is.
No lie. Don't you mean no bull? Nope, bulls can use it too. All bovines, really. Anybody can use it, I suppose. And, you know, just like in the human version, it's really, really helpful.
Oh.
Yep, it's great for learning how to read and write. Yep, it definitely steers you in the right direction.
It steers you in the right direction.
That's right. Oh, I know. Do you know the cow alphabet song?
That goes along with the ABCs?
Yeah, that's right.
No, I don't.
Yeah. Sing along. I know you know it. Moo, 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 P. Moo, moo, moo,
Mr. Bunny.
moo, W, moo. No, it's silly. That's not how it really goes.
Okay, but I'm wondering now that I know that there's a movable alphabet for
that's
cows.
right.
Is there a movable alphabet for rabbits?
Well, actually, no. It's just the regular humankind. Well, there is one difference you should know about.
What?
We make ours out of metal. You know, otherwise...
Wait, you do?
Yeah, that's right. Otherwise, we'd keep wearing them out. Yeah. Bye!
Bye-bye, Mr. Bunny. Warring them out. That Mr. Bunny. He could not have been more full of puns today.
He really was very punful.
How does he come up with these? I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know. It does remind us of all of those nature walks we've taken together where you and our oldest have traded puns back and forth. I'm just no good at puns like that.
Well, Mr. Bunny is the king of all puns. There's no doubt about that. He's better than all of us combined.
Cannot win in that department. Love it.
Well, friends.
Thank you all for coming to have our little movable alphabet session with us. I hope that you are inspired to go home and play with yours, whether they're paper or in your bathroom with your foam sticky bathtub magnet, magnets in the car, whatever they are. And I would love, of course, any members to share what they're doing with their movable alphabets that we haven't talked about today.
Yep. All right, take care, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.